Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the most lethal, cutting-edge, and flat-out terrifying revolvers that ruled the American frontier. And no, it's not just the Colts and Peacemakers you've heard a million times. We're uncovering weapons so advanced, so ruthless, they changed the very rules of survival in the Wild West. Get ready, because some of these revolvers will destroy everything you thought you knew about frontier gunfighting. Number 15. The Colt Walker, the hand cannon that sparked a revolution. Picture wielding a weapon so enormous it needed a custom saddle holster because no man could comfortably strap it to his hip. The Colt Walker wasn't just a revolver, it was a handheld cannon that redefined what a handgun could do. Tipping the scales at over 4.12 pounds and measuring nearly 16 inches in length, the Walker was the brainchild of a partnership between Samuel Colt and Texas Ranger Captain Samuel Walker. The Rangers demanded a weapon that could drop a mounted Comanche warrior at 50 yards without fail. This beast unleashed a .44 caliber ball, packing enough black powder to deliver muzzle energy on par with today's Magnum cartridges. When a Ranger fired this weapon, the target didn't merely collapse, they were slammed backward by the sheer force of the impact. The psychological impact was just as powerful. Native American warriors often abandoned assaults the moment they saw Rangers unholstering these gigantic revolvers. But with that enormous power came a dangerous flaw. The massive powder loads frequently pushed the cylinder beyond its safe limits, and some Rangers ended up clutching fragments of shattered metal instead of a working gun. Yet, European gunsmiths were on the verge of unveiling something that would make even the mighty Walker look outdated in comparison. Number 14. The Lefaucheux Pinfire Revolver, the European Invader. While American gunsmiths were busy perfecting percussion cap revolvers, European inventors took an entirely different path, creating a revolver that fired cartridges with exposed pins, resulting in a weapon that was both impressively advanced and dangerously unpredictable. The Lefaucheux Pinfire revolver appeared almost futuristic when compared to the standard cap and ball designs of the era. Instead of the tedious process of loading powder, wadding, and lead balls individually, shooters simply inserted a fully self-contained cartridge. This innovation made reloading blazingly fast, an enormous advantage in any life-or-death gunfight. French officers introduced these Pinfire revolvers to American soil during the Civil War. From there, they quickly filtered into civilian hands, including cowboys and frontiersmen who realized that owning a Pinfire revolver offered a massive tactical edge. While opponents struggled with delicate percussion caps and fiddled with powder flasks, Pinfire users could eject empty cartridges, reload, and be back in action within moments. In a high-stakes shootout, that speed was often the difference between life and death. But the Pinfire's brilliance came with a deadly design flaw. Those exposed pins, sticking awkwardly out of every cartridge, made them extremely hazardous to carry. A simple bump or an accidental strike against a hard surface could detonate a cartridge right in a shooter's pocket, essentially turning their ammunition into live grenades. This made Pinfire revolvers both a marvel of engineering and a constant, looming risk to their owners. Yet while European gunmakers had their sights set on evolving cartridge technology, a team of British engineers was working on something even more revolutionary, an innovation that would completely transform the way revolvers operated from the inside out. Number 13. The Beaumont-Adams Revolver, the double-action destroyer. Picture yourself in a gunfight against someone who doesn't need to cock the hammer between shots. While you're busy thumbing back your single-action revolver to line up a second shot, he's already squeezing off his third. The Beaumont-Adams Revolver brought double-action firing to the American frontier, and it was a game-changer that redefined gunfighting tactics forever. This British-crafted revolver allowed a shooter to simply pull the trigger to fire, no manual cocking necessary. That continuous trigger pull translated into a rate of fire that felt impossible to anyone still using traditional single-action weapons. Cowboys who got their hands on Beaumont-Adams revolvers quickly realized just how lethal this advantage was in close-range brawls. Saloon shootouts, alleyway ambushes, and spur-of-the-moment gunfights in cramped spaces heavily favored the double-action design. In a fight where every second mattered, the ability to fire as fast as you could pull the trigger often meant the difference between walking out on your own 2 feet or being dragged out in a pine box. But it wasn't just about speed. The psychological edge was just as deadly. Opponents, hearing the relentless crack of rapid gunfire, often panicked, diving for cover under the false belief they were facing a group of shooters. That moment of hesitation was all a double-action shooter needed to end the fight decisively. And yet, while the Beaumont-Adams was busy turning heads with its double-action firepower, there was one American doctor who believed that even this wasn't enough. In his mind, true battlefield supremacy required something far more radical, a weapon capable of delivering overwhelming firepower and total confusion in the blink of an eye. Number 12. The LeMat Revolver, the shotgun revolver hybrid. What do you get when a New Orleans doctor decides that 9 revolver shots just aren't enough? You end up with one of the most creative and devastating combination firearms ever designed. A revolver that concealed a brutal shotgun surprise, capable of clearing an entire room. Dr. Jean-Alexandre LeMat engineered this masterpiece by merging a 9-shot 42 caliber cylinder with a central 20-gauge shotgun barrel. Imagine squaring off against an opponent, counting his shots, and assuming he's empty after 6. Meanwhile, he's still holding 3 more revolver rounds, plus a shotgun blast powerful enough to neutralize multiple enemies in one trigger pull. Confederate cavalry officers turned the LeMat into a battlefield legend during the Civil War. But it didn't stay a military secret for long. After the war, the LeMat found its way into civilian hands, particularly among lawmen and outlaws who valued its overwhelming firepower. Switching between the revolver cylinder and the shotgun barrel was deceptively simple. Just flick a lever on the hammer to select your mode of destruction. Wild Bill Hickok himself was rumored to have carried a LeMat during his law enforcement days, appreciating its ability to handle unpredictable, multi-opponent fights. The sheer presence of a LeMat often ended gunfights before they began. Its reputation was so intimidating that simply drawing one was enough to send opponents scrambling for cover. On the technical side, the revolver function delivered reliable accuracy for precision shots, while the shotgun barrel could stop charging horses, scatter multiple attackers, or instantly shift the dynamics of a fight. But this hybrid's brilliance came with trade-offs. The LeMat's intricate internal mechanism was prone to fouling, especially in dusty or dirty environments, and its bulk made it a heavy, awkward choice for daily carry. We went deep into military archives to dig up these forgotten combination weapons, so you don't have to spend years hunting for the details. If you're finding this detective work valuable, a quick like goes a long way in helping us keep these stories alive. But sometimes the most groundbreaking innovations didn't come from adding complexity. They came from perfecting the pure, elegant simplicity that made revolvers legendary in the first place. Number 11. The Colt Navy 1851, the gentleman's fighter. Imagine the perfect harmony of power and elegance. A revolver so flawlessly balanced it felt like an extension of your own hand, yet potent enough to decisively end any confrontation on the frontier. The Colt Navy 1851 wasn't merely a firearm. It was a masterpiece of design that also happened to be ruthlessly effective in combat. Despite its nautical name, the Navy model was actually far more popular with civilians than with sailors. Chambered in .36 caliber, it struck what many considered the ideal compromise between stopping power and controllability. It had enough force to put a man down with a well-placed shot, while staying manageable for rapid and accurate follow-up fire. The Navy Colt's 7.5-inch barrel wasn't just for show. It delivered excellent accuracy at distances where most handguns falter. Cowboys trusted it for everything, from hunting and self-defense to precision shooting that demanded pinpoint accuracy. Its reputation for dead-on performance made it a favorite among professional gunfighters whose very lives depended on placing that first shot exactly where it counted. Wild Bill Hickok famously carried a matched pair of Navy Colts in his iconic red sash, elevating the revolver to legendary status. His sharpshooting exhibitions with these revolvers became the stuff of frontier folklore, with feats of marksmanship that seemed impossible for handguns of that era. Hickok's endorsement cemented the Navy Colt as the revolver of choice for serious gunmen. What truly set the Navy Colt apart was its exceptional balance. Unlike bulkier revolvers that felt front-heavy or clumsy, the Navy Colt pointed naturally and allowed for smooth, controlled shooting. This made it particularly lethal in rapid-fire exchanges where split-second accuracy could decide the outcome. Wealthy cowboys often transformed their Navy Colts into personal works of art, adorning them with intricate engravings and fitting them with ivory grips. These custom touches turned the revolvers into symbols of status and style. But underneath the fancy exterior was a proven combat weapon, battle-tested in countless frontier skirmishes. Number 10. The Colt Army 1860. When the military realized it needed a revolver with more stopping power than the elegant Navy Colt could deliver, Colt responded with a no-nonsense fighting machine, built to dominate any confrontation. The Army 1860 fired a punishing .44 caliber round, while still maintaining the balance and smooth handling that made Colt revolvers famous across the frontier. Union cavalry units wielded these revolvers with brutal efficiency during the Civil War, and after the war, those same battle-hardened weapons followed soldiers westward, into the hands of cowboys, lawmen, and settlers facing daily life-or-death struggles. With an 8-inch barrel, the Army Colt delivered rifle-like accuracy, capable of hitting targets well beyond 100 yards. This made it a go-to choice not just for combat, but for hunting large game and defending homesteads from considerable distances. But the Army Colt's lethality wasn't just in its ballistic performance, it was in its presence. The gaping .44 caliber muzzle demanded respect. Gunfighters and outlaws alike knew of its reputation for one-shot kills, and more than a few gunfights ended the moment someone leveled an Army Colt in their opponent's direction. The psychological edge it gave to its wielder was undeniable. Durability was another defining trait. The Army Colt's robust design handled the relentless abuse of frontier life with ease. Whether caked in dust, battered from rough riding, or exposed to harsh weather, it continued to function reliably. However, that same ruggedness came with drawbacks. Its sheer size and weight made it impractical for concealed carry, and in fast draw situations, the long barrel could be painfully slow to clear leather. This was a significant disadvantage in an era where speed was starting to matter as much as raw firepower. As the Wild West began transitioning from open battlefields and frontier skirmishes to the tighter confines of saloons, gambling halls, and dusty main streets, the demand for revolvers began to shift. Gunfighters needed sidearms that could clear the holster faster, prioritize quick shooting, and adapt to the new realities of urban shootouts. This evolution marked the beginning of a new era, where revolver design would prioritize speed and concealability without sacrificing too much of that hard-hitting frontier firepower. Number 9. The Colt Lightning, the double-action speed demon. Picture a revolver that could unleash a hail of bullets as fast as you could pull the trigger, eliminating the need to cock the hammer between shots. The Colt Lightning introduced true double-action firing to American revolvers, giving gunfighters a weapon that could overwhelm opponents with sheer, relentless firepower. The Lightning's mechanism allowed for continuous fire at a pace that seemed almost impossible to adversaries still fumbling with single-action designs. While they were struggling to thumb back the hammer for a second shot, Lightning users were already sending their 4th or 5th round downrange. Chambered in 38 and 41 calibers, the Lightning balanced respectable stopping power with speed and controllability. It wasn't designed to knock a man backwards like a 44, but in a close-range gunfight, being able to empty your cylinder in a few heartbeats was often far more valuable. Its solid frame construction gave it durability superior to older designs, while the side-loading gate made reloading faster and more streamlined. For professional gunfighters, this combination of rapid-fire capability and ruggedness made the Lightning a serious contender in high-stakes shootouts. Several well-known lawmen adopted the Lightning as their weapon of choice, appreciating its edge in fights where facing multiple opponents was a very real possibility. Gamblers, too, saw its potential. In the cramped, volatile environments of saloons and gambling halls, the ability to quickly draw and fire in confined spaces could mean the difference between life and death. Double-action revolvers like the Lightning were heavily favored in these scenarios, and its reputation for speed soon became legendary. However, the Lightning wasn't without its challenges. Its double-action trigger pull was notably heavy, requiring extensive practice to control. In the hands of an inexperienced shooter, accuracy could deteriorate rapidly during fast-paced exchanges. Additionally, the revolver's intricate internal mechanism demanded more frequent maintenance and care compared to simpler single-action designs. Neglecting upkeep could lead to reliability issues, a risk no gunfighter wanted to take lightly. While Colt was refining rapid-fire mechanisms to dominate shootouts through speed, their competitors were chasing a very different vision. Rather than focusing purely on rate of fire, other gunsmiths were experimenting with radical new approaches that would soon flip revolver technology on its head. Number 8. The Smith & Wesson Model 3, the cartridge revolution. Imagine holding a revolver that could be fully reloaded in under 10 seconds, while your opponents were still fumbling with powder flasks and ramming lead balls into muzzle-loading cylinders. You'd already be locked, loaded, and ready for another 6 shots. The Smith & Wesson Model 3 didn't just bring cartridge loading to the American frontier. It completely redefined what a fighting revolver could be. Its innovative top-break action was unlike anything most gunfighters had ever witnessed. With a simple press of a latch, the barrel would hinge forward, automatically ejecting all 6 spent cartridges at once. Load 6 fresh rounds, snap it shut, and you were back in the fight. This lightning-fast reload capability gave Model 3 users a decisive edge in gunfights where every second counted. The .44 American cartridge, developed specifically for this revolver, delivered serious stopping power, making it a lethal companion in close-range encounters. Precision machining ensured exceptional accuracy, while the automatic ejection system eliminated the need for cumbersome ramrods or manually prying out stuck casings, an enormous tactical advantage when lives hung in the balance. The Model 3 didn't just stay on American soil either. Large contracts with the Russian military catapulted this revolver onto the global stage, but many found their way back into American hands through trade, surplus, or battlefield pickups. Cowboys and lawmen who managed to acquire a Model 3 discovered they were carrying a weapon literally years ahead of their adversaries in both technology and battlefield capability. The revolver's balance was superb, and the top break design actually enhanced its natural pointing characteristics, making it a joy to handle under pressure. However, this cutting-edge innovation came with its own set of drawbacks. The Model 3's intricate mechanism, while brilliant, was more fragile than the rugged simplicity of traditional revolvers. Out on the unforgiving frontier, replacement parts weren't exactly easy to come by. A serious mechanical failure could leave a gunfighter out of commission in the worst possible moment. Even so, for those willing to maintain and care for it, the Model 3 was a quantum leap forward in revolver technology. While Smith & Wesson dazzled the market with mechanical innovation and cartridge efficiency, their rivals at Remington were pursuing a completely different vision, one focused on unrelenting durability and battlefield toughness, aiming to craft the ultimate fighting revolver through sheer brute strength. Number 7. The Remington New Model Army, the solid frame sledgehammer. When Colt's critical patents finally expired, rival manufacturers wasted no time in stepping up to challenge the revolver king. Remington's answer wasn't just a copy. It was an improvement in every meaningful way. They took what was great about the Colt design and engineered it to be stronger, more reliable, and far more punishing. The Remington New Model Army quickly became the weapon of choice for shooters who valued unbreakable reliability over flash or finesse. The game-changing innovation was its solid frame construction. Unlike Colt revolvers, which relied on a wedge to hold a removable cylinder in place, the Remington encased its cylinder within a rigid steel frame. This dramatically increased the revolver's structural strength, allowing it to safely handle heavier powder charges that would have shattered lesser designs. Chambered in .44 caliber, the Remington matched the Colt's raw power, but its reinforced build meant shooters could load hotter rounds, achieving muzzle velocities and stopping power that left competing revolvers in the dust during the 1860s and 70s. Beyond raw power, the solid frame had another crucial advantage: accuracy. The rigid construction reduced flex between components, ensuring tighter shot groupings even at longer ranges. This consistency made the Remington New Model Army a favorite among many professional gunfighters who demanded reliability they could bet their lives on. Its robust design meant fewer mechanical breakdowns, while its simple internal mechanism allowed for quick field repairs, an essential trait when your survival depended on keeping your sidearm operational. Reloading was also more user-friendly. The loading lever was positioned in a way that made recharging the cylinder faster and less cumbersome than on Colts, a small but meaningful edge in close-quarters gunfights. However, the solid frame wasn't without drawbacks. The increased structural strength came at the cost of added weight, making it noticeably heavier than comparable Colt models. Additionally, while Colts allowed for easy cylinder swaps in the field, the Remington's solid frame made cylinder removal more complicated, a downside when it came time for cleaning or maintenance. Still, for shooters who needed a sidearm that could take relentless punishment and keep firing, the Remington New Model Army stood unrivaled. But before Colt or Remington had fully perfected their revolver designs, there was another firearm, a truly massive revolver that established the very idea of handheld cannons, setting a new benchmark for sheer, overwhelming firepower. Number 6. The Colt Dragoon, the monster before the Walker. Long before the Walker revolver earned its reputation for size and raw power, Colt had already crafted an even larger behemoth that set the gold standard for hand cannon design. The Colt Dragoon wasn't just a large revolver, it was a colossal weapon engineered specifically for mounted troops who needed absolute stopping power at close range. Weighing over 4 pounds and sporting a 7.5-inch barrel, the Dragoon fired the largest practical handgun cartridge of its time, a .44 caliber ball. Propelled by a heavy black powder charge, the Dragoon's muzzle blasts were so intense they could light up the night sky, with enough force to punch through multiple attackers or drop a charging horse in a single shot. Mounted Dragoons wielded these monstrous revolvers to devastating effect during the Mexican-American War, often leading charges against infantry formations. The mere sight of cavalry troops armed with these massive sidearms was enough to cause enemy ranks to break and scatter before a shot was even fired. That psychological intimidation factor carried over into civilian life as well. For settlers, lawmen, and frontiersmen facing hostile groups or dangerous wild game, the Dragoon's fearsome stopping power provided a sense of security few other firearms could match. The Dragoon's massive construction made it virtually indestructible under normal field conditions. Tales from the frontier tell of Dragoons being swung as improvised clubs after the last round was fired, only to continue functioning flawlessly as firearms afterward. This rugged durability made the Dragoon a favorite in remote areas where weapon replacements weren't an option, and your life often depended on the reliability of the gun you carried. However, that brute strength came with serious drawbacks. The Dragoon's sheer size and weight made it impractical for everyday civilian use. Concealment was out of the question, and its bulky frame made quick-draw scenarios far more challenging compared to smaller, more nimble revolvers. As the American frontier evolved, gunfighters began seeking firearms that balanced power with advancements in technology and usability, moving away from the sheer brute force philosophy that had defined weapons like the Dragoon. The demand was shifting. The Wild West was no longer just about raw power. It was becoming a game of speed, efficiency, and mechanical innovation. And the next generation of revolvers would reflect that changing landscape. Number 5, the Merwin and Hulbert Revolver, the automatic ejector marvel. Picture a revolver so advanced that with a simple twist of the barrel, all spent cartridges would eject automatically, cutting reloading time to a fraction of what was possible with any other firearm of its era. For cowboys used to painstakingly picking out empty cases one by one, the Merwin and Hulbert revolver must have felt like pure magic. Its unique reloading mechanism worked by twisting and pulling the barrel forward, which ejected only the fired cartridges while leaving unfired rounds securely in place. This selective ejection feature wasn't just a mechanical party trick, it was a tactical game changer. Shooters could top off their cylinders without wasting unspent ammunition, saving both time and precious rounds when every second counted. Chambered in .44-40 caliber, the Merwin and Hulbert delivered formidable stopping power. Even better, it used the same ammunition as Winchester rifles, a practical advantage that couldn't be overstated in a world where managing different ammo types was a logistical headache. Cowboys who carried both a revolver and a Winchester carbine found this interchangeability to be a massive convenience, simplifying supply lines and reducing the gear needed on long frontier journeys. But its innovations didn't stop at reloading. The revolver's accuracy was outstanding, thanks to a brilliantly engineered barrel attachment system. The precise lockup between barrel and frame eliminated the looseness that plagued many contemporary designs, resulting in tight shot groupings even at extended ranges. Several renowned lawmen chose Merwin and Hulbert revolvers for their superior reloading speed and consistent accuracy. And thanks to its distinctive appearance and unique operating method, the revolver became instantly recognizable across the American West. However, all this innovation came with a price. The complex mechanism required more frequent maintenance than simpler revolvers, and sourcing replacement parts was a challenge outside of major urban centers. Additionally, the revolver's unusual operation demanded training and familiarity. A novice could easily fumble under pressure without proper practice, turning an advantage into a liability. We've combed through original patent drawings to shed light on this revolutionary ejection system, technology that most people don't even realize existed during the Wild West era. If you found value in uncovering these long-lost innovations, subscribing helps us continue bringing these forgotten marvels back into the spotlight. Yet, for all the cutting-edge mechanical wizardry of revolvers like the Merwin and Hulbert, sometimes the most brutally effective weapons didn't come from new ideas. Sometimes they came from taking proven designs and pushing them to seemingly impossible extremes. Number 4, the Colt Buntline Special, the Legend Maker. Imagine a revolver with a barrel so long it blurred the line between handgun and carbine, yet could still be drawn and fired with deadly accuracy at distances where other revolvers were little more than hopeful noisemakers. The Colt Buntline Special wasn't just a firearm, it was a legend, one that grew grander with every retelling. Its massive 12-inch barrel transformed the .45 Colt cartridge into a long-range powerhouse, offering accuracy and muzzle velocity that left typical sidearms in the dust. While standard revolvers lobbed bullets in the general direction of distant targets, the Buntline Special delivered rifle-like precision. In the hands of a skilled marksman, it was an absolute menace. The stories of Wyatt Earp allegedly wielding a buntline during his days in Dodge City and Tombstone elevated the revolver to mythical status. Whether those tales were historically accurate or not, the image of Earp calmly dropping opponents with pinpoint shots from his elongated Colt captured the frontier's collective imagination. The buntline became a symbol of impossible marksmanship and frontier justice. From a technical standpoint, the extended barrel offered real ballistic advantages. The extra length allowed for a more complete powder burn, squeezing every bit of velocity from each cartridge. This resulted in a flatter trajectory and greater impact force at extended ranges, enabling the buntline to remain effective well beyond the distances where most revolvers became useless. For marksmen who valued deliberate, accurate shooting over rapid fire, the buntline was a dream come true. Carrying such a weapon sent a message, too. Drawing a revolver with a 12-inch barrel wasn't just a practical decision. It was a declaration of confidence and capability. Anyone willing to carry such a beast was telling the world they didn't need to rely on quick draws or close-quarter brawls. They could end a fight before it even started. However, this impressive size came with obvious drawbacks. The long barrel made the revolver slow and awkward to draw, prone to snagging on clothing or holsters. In tight spaces or fast draw scenarios, the buntline was simply impractical, limiting its use to situations where precision mattered more than speed. While the Buntline Special represented the pinnacle of specialized long-range revolver design, it also highlighted an important lesson. The greatest revolvers weren't necessarily those that excelled in just one area, but rather those that could perform exceptionally well in any scenario without compromise. Number 3, the Colt Single Action Army, the Peacemaker. When most people picture a Wild West revolver, one firearm stands head and shoulders above the rest in the public imagination. The Colt Single Action Army, universally known as the Peacemaker, wasn't just another sidearm. It was the definitive weapon of the American frontier, carried by more legendary figures than any other revolver of its time. First introduced in 1873, the Peacemaker was the result of years of revolver evolution, perfectly blending power, precision, and reliability into a single, iconic package. Chambered in the formidable .45 Colt cartridge, the Peacemaker delivered devastating stopping power that could end a gunfight with a single, well-placed shot. Its smooth, single-action mechanism allowed for precise, deliberate shooting, giving shooters total control over every round fired. This was the revolver trusted by legends like Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, Bat Masterson, and countless other lawmen and outlaws who staked their lives on its performance. One of the Peacemaker's greatest strengths was its balance. Unlike earlier revolvers that were front-heavy or clumsy to handle, the Single Action Army felt perfectly weighted, pointing naturally as if it were an extension of the shooter's own hand. This made it equally effective for slow, precision shots and rapid-fire exchanges, where speed and accuracy both mattered. The Peacemaker's natural handling characteristics became the gold standard by which all future revolvers were judged. But beyond its mechanical excellence, the Peacemaker carried an undeniable psychological weight. Its instantly recognizable silhouette was known across the entire frontier. Drawing a Peacemaker sent an unmistakable message about the wielder's skill, confidence, and intent. Many confrontations were resolved without a single shot fired. Simply the sight of that iconic revolver was enough to make adversaries reconsider their choices. Customization options were endless. Shooters could opt for shorter barrels for faster draws, or longer barrels for extended range and accuracy. Special grips were available for better control and to reflect personal style. Every Peacemaker became a reflection of its owner's personality and fighting preferences, making it not just a tool of survival, but a symbol of identity. Perhaps most importantly, the Peacemaker's reputation for reliability was unmatched. Its simple yet rugged design functioned flawlessly, even under the harshest conditions. Whether caked in dust, drenched in rain, or battered in the chaos of combat, it simply refused to fail. However, as the Peacemaker continued to dominate the civilian market, military forces began demanding a new revolver that could combine cutting-edge technology with proven battlefield durability, pushing firearms innovation into its next chapter. Number 2. The Smith & Wesson Schofield, the cavalry's choice. Imagine a revolver so advanced, so ahead of its time, that the United States cavalry selected it over the iconic Colt Peacemaker. A sidearm so quick to reload, it could shift the balance of a battle in mere seconds. And so powerful, it had the stopping force to bring down a charging horse with a single, well-placed shot. The Schofield wasn't just another entry in the revolver arms race. It was a technological marvel that many experts considered superior to any Colt ever produced. Its groundbreaking top-break action was revolutionary for American military tactics. While Colt users fumbled through the slow process of ejecting each spent casing individually, Schofield shooters could flip open their revolver, eject all 6 empty cases simultaneously, and reload in less than 10 seconds. In the chaos of cavalry charges, where reloading speed was often a matter of life and death, this rapid rearming capability gave Schofield users a critical and often decisive advantage. The revolver was chambered for the .45 Schofield cartridge, a round specifically designed to work in harmony with its unique top-break mechanism. It delivered formidable stopping power while ensuring smooth, reliable extraction with every shot. The automatic ejection system eliminated the frustrating issues of stuck cases or extraction failures, which could prove fatal in the heat of battle. One of the Schofield's most vocal proponents was Major Marcus Reno, who famously favored the revolver during the Indian Wars. Reno's preference wasn't based on marketing hype. It was born from brutal, first-hand combat experience. Many cavalry officers, recognizing the Schofield's superior battlefield performance, went as far as purchasing them out of their own pockets, convinced that the revolver's benefits far outweighed its higher cost. Outlaws quickly caught on as well. Jesse James and his gang were known to favor Schofields during bank robberies, where their rapid reloading allowed them to maintain a relentless rate of fire in prolonged gunfights. But innovation rarely comes without trade-offs. The Schofield's complex mechanism made it more expensive to manufacture than Colt's, and its precision engineering required diligent maintenance to ensure battlefield reliability. Ammunition supply was another challenge. The .45 Schofield cartridge, while effective, was less common than the ubiquitous .45 Colt, which posed logistical headaches for users operating in remote frontier regions. Yet for all its advanced features, even a cutting-edge revolver like the Schofield couldn't compare to the next level of frontier firepower. The ultimate expression of Wild West weaponry wasn't a single revolver. It was a concept so devastating, so overwhelming, that it transcended individual firearms entirely. Number 1, the matched pair, 12 shots of death. The deadliest revolver of the Wild West wasn't a single make or model. It was the concept of the matched pair. The most lethal gunfighters didn't put their lives in the hands of just one revolver. They carried 2 identical weapons, doubling their firepower and eliminating the deadly vulnerability of mid-fight reloads. Picture Wild Bill Hickok with his iconic pair of ivory-handled Navy Colts, or John Wesley Hardin with twin Peacemakers strapped in distinctive reverse-draw holster rigs. These weren't just weapons, they were fully integrated fighting systems, turning their owners into near-unstoppable forces in a gunfight. The tactical advantage was undeniable. 12 shots instead of 6 allowed a gunfighter to handle multiple opponents, or survive prolonged engagements without being forced into a vulnerable reload. While single-gun shooters had to count their shots meticulously and plan reloads under fire, dual-wielders could fight continuously until every threat was neutralized. And the psychological impact? Devastating. Watching an adversary draw two revolvers simultaneously sent a crystal-clear message. This was a professional killer, someone who had invested serious time, money, and effort into perfecting their craft. Facing such an opponent was enough to shake even the most seasoned gunslinger's nerves. Hickok's matched Navy Colts became legendary, with his uncanny ability to draw and fire both revolvers at once, hitting targets with deadly precision, described by contemporaries as almost supernatural. Hardin's innovative reverse draw holster system allowed him to execute lightning-fast draws from virtually any position, a key reason why he became one of the most feared and unpredictable gunfighters of his era. But dual wielding wasn't simply about strapping on an extra revolver. It required years of dedicated practice. True mastery demanded ambidextrous accuracy, efficient reloading techniques for both hands, and the ability to coordinate fire in high-pressure situations. Only the most disciplined and skilled gunfighters could wield a matched pair to its full lethal potential. The matched pair represented the ultimate evolution of frontier combat, a deadly combination of equipment and skill where survival wasn't just about owning good guns, but about wielding the best guns with unmatched proficiency. From the brute force Dragoon to the technologically advanced Schofield, revolvers didn't just shape individual duels, they forged legends and defined the very spirit of the Wild West. Each model reflected a different philosophy of survival, be it raw stopping power, reloading speed, mechanical innovation, or ruthless tactical efficiency. These weren't mere tools, they were the thin line between becoming a legend or a nameless grave in a forgotten frontier cemetery. In the unforgiving world of the American frontier, your revolver choice wasn't just important, it was everything. So, which of these deadly revolvers surprised you the most? Were you aware that frontier gunfighters had access to such advanced firearms? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from fellow history enthusiasts who appreciate these frontier masterpieces. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Wild West weaponry. Subscribe for more journeys through the legends and firepower that shaped America's most dangerous era. Until next time, keep exploring.